What's in this place that we can't weather? Apocalypse. We've all been there. The same old shit. Why should we care? We'll work it through within a minute. We have to try. We'll pay the price. We'll do or die. Love that for me. Okay. Hello and welcome back to my channel, and welcome back to yet another potluck wrap up. So this is where I put the titles of all of the books that I have read over the months into this teapot, and then I literally pull them out at random, so I have no idea what I'm going to be reviewing. I have all the books that I've read over the last few months piled up next to me, and I need to get quite a few of them because my basket, they don't fit in my basket anymore. We're running out of space in the basket. So I'm going to try and get through as many as possible. We will have a timer for 20 minutes to see just how many I can actually get done in that time, and I am starting my timer now. Okay, so the first book I'm going to wrap up for you is... oh, it is a March read, and it is Spellslinger. So Spellslinger is by Sebastian de Castell. It is a YA fantasy about a young man called Kellen who basically wants to tap into his powers. There's some dark, evil forces coming for him and his family, blah, 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 blah. This is such a paint-by-numbers YA fantasy that I lost the will to live about halfway through it. I did finish it because I was listening to it as an audiobook. This was one of the books that I read during my vlog of picks that Emma Novella picked for me, and the more they reflect on it, the less they like Spellslinger. So I don't know if it's just my negativity ruining Spellslinger for them, but I just didn't like it. And I feel really bad because this was gifted to me by Blanche, and I love a gifted book, so I really appreciate that, Blanche, but it just really wasn't for me. Now I have put the next book in the series in my wish list, on my Amazon wish list, because to be honest I don't know if I can be bothered to commit to this. Now I'm not saying it was so bad that it was awful, it was just incredibly vanilla as fantasies go. Spoilers for certain plot twists. Turns out this kid that's not had any power the entire time has the most badass power out of all of them. No one saw that one coming. Oh, and the uncle, as always, is the antagonist. So it just felt really bland to me. There was one thing in particular that I feel like it kind of peed on the parade before it even really got going. There are several female characters in this which are badass. There is Kellen's mother, who is a healer and really well respected. There is Fenris. Is it Fenris or Ferris? I think it's Ferris. Let's remember how to say her name. Oh, I don't even care enough to find it. There's a woman who's basically this like cowboy type woman who is just a badass and kind of saves Kellen. 80% of the book is just her saving him. And there is the young girl that Kellen is in love with. Kellen is so misogynistic that he is rude to just exclusively those three people. He doesn't tell anyone else in this book to shut up, but he tells those three women at some point. I don't think he says it to his mum, but he definitely says it to Ferris and to the girl that he's in love with. He tells them to shut up. He completely disregards their ideas. He spends so much of his time just talking about how beautiful they are, rather than actually appreciating that they have saved his butt several times. And for me, it just got really problematic, and it was just, it's one of those things where, like, I'm sure years ago I wouldn't have noticed and I wouldn't have cared, but I have read so many fantastic novels with female protagonists who are actually worth their weight in gold, and for him to just completely treat those characters as shit, it just didn't sit right with me. So the fact that he is the most beige, nice guy type character, you know, even his sister is this really powerful wizard, witch, whatever it is they call themselves. He treats her like shit. Now I know that there's like a sibling rivalry between the two of them. She is incredibly competitive. She is kind of put up as like his rival right from the off, and she's not very nice to him either. But I just thought it was really interesting that all of the female characters get treated like dog shit and all of the male characters get to be the heroes at the end. That bothered me, and I have recently DNF'd Traitor's Blade for similar reasons. So I ended up giving this 2 stars it was either 3 or 2 stars in the fact that it was just fine, but there was just not enough there to grab my attention. So the only way I will read the next one in the series is if someone else pays for it, because it just wasn't the one. Really, really disappointing in general with that one. Okay, let's try and find something a bit more positive. The next one is, Toxifix Almanac for 2021 by Sandy Toxifix. Now, I did this as an audiobook. I did this for NetGalley, and basically I didn't even know what an almanac was, because I always want to call it Armagnac, which is the cognac type drink. But an almanac, one of those, is basically a calendar of dates, and it talks about important things that have happened on those dates. And what I absolutely adored about Sandy's is the fact that she has curated a list of fantastic historical women that just did not get the recognition they deserved in general history. There's so much diversity in this, there's so much intersectionality in this, and each day kind of represents different powerful women. And listening to it, it made me want to do 2 things. 1, go and research these women even more, and 2, write books about these women. So I just thought that was fantastic, and I would definitely recommend it. I read this around the time of International Women's Day, and it just hit the nail on the head for me. Like, it was just great. I gave it 5 stars. I thought it was wonderful. Sandy is one of my favourite comedians. Like, her dry humour is just absolutely spot on, and I just thought it was great, and the representation in all of it was just wonderful. She goes out of her way in the introduction to say that fundamentally, as a white middle class woman, she doesn't have the right to speak over these women, but if she can give a voice to these women, then she will. And I just felt like that is exactly what she did. She managed to create a platform where I was really excited to go and find out about these women, and I'm hoping other people will too. I would absolutely recommend you read this book. I thought it was spectacular. So there we go. Much more positive, much more succinct, but much more positive. So next one is From Blood and Ash. Now, I do feel, where is it? I do feel like I could probably get away with getting a free pass on my 20 minutes wrap up in this, because I sent some voice notes to a couple of friends of mine and basically just ran through exactly my thoughts. So if I have managed to save that, I will insert that here, and if I have not, then I will attempt to wrap up. So I'm just going to pause this. And like, I'm enjoying it, like it's a fun book to read, but this bitch is so dumb. Like, so basically, this guy rocks up, she like desperately falls in lust with him, and they like have sex even though she's supposed to be like this virginal maiden. Fine. And then in your classic fantasy romance style, he betrays her the very next day, because turns out he's been betraying her from the start. And this whole seduction thing was part of some elaborate ploy to like get her away from safety or whatever. Oh man! I'm even more angry than 1 or 5 seconds ago, because I can't even speak, I'm so angry. So she was like injured, and he's like healed her, and he's still got her like fucking locked up in a dungeon, and she's like again trying to like scratch at him, and he's like, oh, I was expecting a thank you for helping you, because apparently you're too proud to ask for help. It's like, fuck you. Absolutely go fuck yourself. I'm so mad at this dumb man. This was gifted to me by Jamie, so thank you very, very much, Jamie. I did really enjoy it. It was intense. It was not what I was expecting at all. The whole vampires and werewolf type drama was completely out of the blue, because I knew absolutely nothing about this going in. Now, this is a really popular read at the moment, so it's really nice to be able to read something whilst it's gaining hype as opposed to after its hype. It was just, I've got so many mixed emotions about this. I did give it 4 stars because like it's compelling, but it's so fucking weird, and like there's just the main characters, like it's, I'm really hoping those voice notes have worked, because I feel like that would just perfectly sum up how I feel about this book, and now I can just move on to reading the next one, because I absolutely will read the next one. I will. I know I will. Whether my emotional whatever it is can deal with that or not, I will definitely read the next one. So next one is A Kind of Spark by Elle McNichols. This is another one that was picked for me by Emma Novella. This was also in my Femathon TBR. This is about a young girl who is autistic, kind of navigating life and trying to experience and trying to explain to other people how like having autism or being autistic feels. And I am stumbling over that because I have for years said that my cousin has autism as opposed to my cousin is autistic, and I'm trying to fix my vocabulary there, so forgive me. But basically you've got this young girl who starts learning about witches and kind of feels very connected to them in the way that they were persecuted for just being different and just not necessarily thinking in the same way that normal people think. And it's really powerful, considering it's such a short read, considering it's a middle grade. I just thought this was absolutely fantastic. I really enjoyed this. The opening chapter is fucking hard to read, so any fellow teachers out there will know that sometimes when you read about bad teachers in a book, you can kind of just brush it off, and then there's other times when you're like, that's fucking disgusting, and if that teacher was in my school, there is absolutely no way in a million years I would allow that to just go unreported. And Mrs. Murphy in this book is fucking awful, and it's just so hard. It's so hard to read, to see Addie being treated that way, and for Addie to not understand that it's not just because she's different, because this woman is a bitch. It's just, that's really tough. But I would absolutely recommend this to all of my fellow teachery type friends to read if you want a better understanding of autism and how to support autistic kids. I would definitely give this a read. It's not a how-to guide, but it is written, its own voices, it is written by an autistic author. I was really pleasantly surprised by this, and I'm sure Emma was also really pleased that I gave it 5 stars, because I don't think we could have been friends if I'd given it anything less. So thank you very much, Emma, for introducing this to me. I will at some point read Show Us Who You Are, which is the newest release by Elle McNichols, and I'm far more excited about it now that I can see just the absolute incredible calibre of writing in this. It was great. I loved this. Okay, another one. Not doing too badly for time, actually. I mean, I've still got so many books, but we're not doing too badly for time. So the next one is the Wayward series, the Wayward Children series. So I'm just going to hold up Come Tumbling Down, but I've actually read Down Among the Stick and Bones, Beneath a Sugar Sky, something like that, Come Tumbling Down, and then there was another one, oh, In an Absent Dream. So I basically read 2, 3, 4 and 5. I've still got 6 to go. I absolutely adore this series. I binged it in like a weekend. I absolutely loved it. Basically, you've got a group of different kids. They've all fallen through a door into these different worlds, and each book kind of follows a different child and their experiences in their worlds. And they're either they're either governed by logic or by nonsense, and they're all trying to navigate it. I definitely preferred the ones such as In an Absent Dream and Down Among the Stick and Bones, where it's the backstory of the children in those little worlds, as opposed to the ones where they're at the school developing an understanding of being back in the real world. But they are spectacular, and again, to any teachers out there, I would definitely recommend these as short reads to include in language resources, because I just think the writing, whilst very simple, really does kind of show you how easy it is to have lyrical writing. They're really accessible, they're really wonderful stories, and I really enjoy them. And the only reason I haven't read the last one is just because I can't bring myself to bring this series to an end. Like, I just think they're fantastic, and it was a mistake to binge all of them in one go because I'm running out. But I do have Middle Game on my TBR for next month. So I'm hoping I can get a little bit, that it'll actually be Seanan Maguire's writing that I'm really into, and not just the Wayward Children in general. But I know that some people really enjoy the Wayward series but hate Middle Game, so we will see. But I really enjoyed this. I think they vary between 5 and 4 stars depending on the actual narrative, but they're all short stories. Some of them are kind of like standalone-y in the fact that they're in this series. I would definitely recommend reading them in order though, just in case. But yes, absolutely loved these. I thought these were great. And I read that back in Jan, so it's a good thing that I finally got a chance to catch those up. And just in case you're aware, like, there are still so many to go. Next one will be The Bone Season, another one that I read in Feb rather than in March, but that's not a problem. So The Bone Season is very V for Vendetta meets clairvoyance. The main character lives in this totalitarian dystopian, I can speak English, where clairvoyants are illegal and certain things are under certain control that she's not in control of. and basically she is a clairvoyant, which is illegal, and she's using her power to work for a gang. She then gets abducted and taken to this other place and introduced essentially to the gods, is how they self-describe themselves, that have taken over the country, the world, and are slowly taking over a place. I really enjoyed this. I've been putting this off for ages because it has so much hype and so many people love it, and so many people I care about love it, that I was absolutely terrified that if I didn't love it, I'd never be able to speak to any of them again, or that I would just hate it, whatever. But I really enjoyed this. I did it as an audiobook as well as a reading alongside it, so it's in that Irish lilt, because the main character is Irish, which I really appreciated, and I'm really excited to continue on with this story. This copy also has The Pale Dreamer, which is the short story that comes before it, but I read that after the Bones season and kind of just added it at the end. I really liked it. I thought the pacing was nice and slow. I didn't feel bombarded by mythology, but it was really interesting that everything felt wholly unique to this story and this world. And the fact that it's an urban fantasy set in London in places and Oxford in others felt very familiar, so I really appreciated that. And yeah, I just thought this was really great, and I've definitely recommended this to other people in the meantime because I really enjoyed it. So that's that one as well. It's so much easier wrapping up books that I liked because I'm just like, yes, they were great, and continue. So we're getting through a few, so that's good. The next one, Girl A by Abigail Dean, which I didn't grab, did I? Because that would have been helpful. Girl A is a psychological narrative. I'm hesitant to call it a thriller, although it is described as a thriller. Basically, a group of kids were tortured by their parents as children, and then as adults they are coming to terms with that. So there's a lot about trauma. There are so many trigger warnings for this, for sexual assault, for sexual violence, for violence against children, trauma, suicide ideation, mental health. Like there's just so much packed in, and basically the main character is dealing with grief and loss, and dealing with the fact that now that she's inherited her mum's house, she has to know what to do with it, and coming in contact with her siblings who she's not seen for ages. So each chapter is a different child and a different focus. There is a bit of a plot twist at the end. I didn't really feel like that needed to be there, but wholly I enjoyed it. If you like slower paced thrillers, I would recommend. If you're not really a thrillery fan, I feel like this is on the cusp enough. I really wouldn't put it down as a thriller, in that there's no kind of like, there is a mystery element to it, but because you're just being told the narrative, there's no kind of like show element of you working stuff out. There is a lot of hidden trauma in the undertones of stuff. The way you'll understand it if you read it, in the fact that some stuff is hidden, but it's not a thriller. It's definitely a mystery, but it's not a thriller. But I did really enjoy it, and that was another one that I reviewed for NetGalley, and I just thought that was really good. I really enjoyed that. But it was hard work. It was hard work to read. I like to read things that are usually more upbeat, and certainly a lot more commercial and fun, and that was far more on like the literary heavy side and just quite intense. But that's my only really criticism of it. I thought it was great, and I'm pretty sure this is a debut novel for Abigail Dean, so I'd be very intrigued to see what else she comes out with, because I was impressed with that. I thought it was really good. I've got 2 minutes. Can I wrap something up in 2 minutes? Daddy by Emma Cline. I probably can wrap this up in 2 minutes. So this is an anthology of short stories all to do with masculinity and how we view masculinity. This was recommended to me by my friend Sean, who absolutely adores Emma Cline's writing for the girls. Hadn't read this before, so we ended up buddy reading it to begin with, except I took forever, so she definitely finished before I did. And this was also gifted to me by my friend Lena when we spent a day in London pre-lockdown, so I've had it a while. It is a signed copy, which is nice. It's fucking weird. It is weird because there are a lot of different stories about predatory behaviour and toxic masculinity and things like that, which are quite hard topics. There are so many characters in this that I just really did not like and did not gel with. That made reading it more difficult. But if you like Emma Cline's writing, and if you like literary novels that I've literally got 47 seconds left. If you like literary novels that kind of dig deep into the psychology and the cerebral level of what it is to be human, I would definitely recommend this. It's quite a nice short read. I'm not going to say it's an easy read, it isn't an easy read, but I'm really intrigued by Emma Cline's writing, and I'm definitely going to try reading The Girls now that I've read this, because Sian says that The Girls is better and that I will like it more, and that there is only 1 or 2 stories in this that is like The Girls, so hopefully I'll be able to actually like that and enjoy that. I keep looking at the time because I can see I've only got 20 seconds left. If I had to pick a story that I liked the most, there is the one quite near the beginning. Is there a contents page? I don't think there is. I'm wasting time, I'm running out of time. Los Angeles is probably my favourite. There we go. And that is my 20 minutes. So, okay, we didn't do too badly wrapping up wise, and it now means I've got plenty of space in my basket now that I've wrapped all these up. So yeah, not a bad reading month. It's been really interesting having other people kind of hold me accountable to read certain things. I've really enjoyed that, and I can't wait to see how this TBR for April turns out, considering what an absolute fucking mess it was to film. I'm hoping you've seen that by now. You should have seen that by now. Anyway, most of these books are available through Waypoint, so feel free to check out those links and support me and my content below. Like, share, all that good stuff. Keep me in the loop what's in your TBR for the future months, and let me know if you've read any of these books. Other than that, have a nice day.